I was excluded from my cousin's wedding because they thought I wasn't classy enough. What they did not realize was that I had connections, and no one on the guest list could match my influence. My name is Emily Carter. I am in my early 30s, and I guess you could call me pretty ordinary. I work diligently, handle my responsibilities, enjoy a good laugh, and strive to be a decent person. However, within my family, ordinary was never the ideal. The expectation was to be classy, or at least conform to their version of it, and I never quite fit in. Growing up, it always seemed as though I was labeled differently from my cousins. They were the proper ones, the well-mannered ones, while I was Emily, usually followed by a sigh or a shake of the head. "She's the wild one," my Aunt Karen, Allison's mother, would say. Not wild in the sense of breaking rules, but wild in not caring about matching socks or practicing ladylike behavior. I preferred jeans, loud music, and speaking my mind. This was not the image my family wanted to portray. Aunt Karen ruled over appearances. Everything needed to seem flawless, even if it wasn't. She constantly compared me to Allison, who was blonde, attractive, and had mastered how to fit the part from an early age. Allison knew which fork to use and could effortlessly make small talk about dull topics. In their eyes, Allison represented true class, and I did not. This comparison was always present, an underlying noise at every family event. "Look at how perfect Allison's hair is. Emily, Allison got into the best clubs at college. Allison has such refined taste." It quickly became exhausting. When Allison became engaged to Jason, I realized their wedding would be more than just a simple celebration of their love. It was going to be a grand display showcasing how elegant and flawless they appeared. Allison treated the planning like it was a regal affair. Each aspect needed to be perfect for Instagram, ready to be shared on Pinterest. She referred to it as her Pinterest vision. As the arrangements unfolded, I caught snippets from the family grapevine about the upscale venue, the lavish gown, the meticulously chosen guest list. I did not expect to be front row, but I believed family was family. Even if I was not Allison's favorite cousin, we had built blanket forts together during childhood, despite her complaining about how I messed up the pillows. Then the invitations started arriving by mail. My parents received theirs. My other cousins did too. Days slipped by, yet no invitation came for me. At first I assumed it might have been lost in the mail. Such things happen. But then I spoke with Megan, a mutual friend of Allison and me. She was on the guest list and pretty down to earth. I asked if she had any news about my invitation. Megan hesitated, and then said softly, "Emily, you did not get one." My heart sank. "Why Allison?" I asked. She explained she had chosen not to invite certain people. Megan seemed uneasy as she added, "People who did not match the vibe." I repeated, "Did not fit the vibe," even though I already understood. Megan muttered, "Yes, like her Pinterest vision. She wanted everyone to be classy." Her exact phrase hit me hard like a blow to the stomach. Classy enough was their way of saying they did not approve of Emily Carter. It was about not fitting in or pretending to be someone else. The remark stung deeply. It was more than just missing a wedding. It was a conscious decision to exclude me, to criticize and dismiss me by my own relatives. They treated me like a blemish on their flawless image. The pain was greater than I had anticipated. I was overwhelmed by a combination of sorrow and resentment. Mostly I felt disposable, as if cutting me out was effortless because I failed to meet their absurd expectations. I attempted to move past it. Their wedding and their rules, I reminded myself. If they preferred a wedding suitable for appearances instead of one filled with loved ones, that was their decision. A regrettable one, but it was theirs to make. Still, the phrase classy enough lingered in my mind. It seemed spiteful, as though they took pride in rejecting me for not being elegant enough for their standards. It revived all the past moments when I was made to feel like the outsider. A few days later, still carrying some sadness, I was speaking with Ryan Miller. Ryan is the son of Mr. Miller, my mentor. Mr. Miller is not a mentor in the usual formal sense, but someone I have known for many years through professional networks. He is an exceptionally successful entrepreneur involved in many ventures and has consistently been kind and supportive toward me. He has offered guidance, opened opportunities, and genuinely seemed to have faith in my potential. His family owns numerous properties. There were some event locations involved that I had not planned to share with Ryan Miller or his father regarding the wedding drama. It seemed too trivial to mention, but I ended up saying I was experiencing a strange week because of some family issues. Ryan asked what was going on, and I gave him a brief summary. My cousin Allison was getting married and had not invited me because she believed I was not sophisticated enough for her elegant celebration. Ryan chuckled and said, "That sounds absurd. Where is she even holding it?" I told him the venue's name, recalling Allison bragging about how exclusive and stunning the place was. Ryan's eyes grew slightly wider. "Wait, that place is Lakeside Manor, right?" I confirmed. "Why?" he asked. "It's one of my dad's properties," he explained. "He owns it." I was stunned. Of all the venues in the state, they chose his location. Ryan noticed my reaction and added, "What a small world." "Does he know you're her cousin?" he inquired. I said no and doubted it. "Why would he?" Ryan shrugged and replied, "No particular reason. Just curious." Later that same day, Mr. Miller called me. He occasionally checks in just to talk. We discussed work briefly before he mentioned, "Ryan brought up that you're dealing with some family difficulties. Something about a wedding at one of my venues." I hesitated, wondering if I should share the entire awkward tale. But Mr. Miller has a way of making you feel at ease, as if you can open up about anything. So I went ahead and told him everything. The story about Allison, the comment about me not being classy enough, and the feeling of being excluded. I wasn't complaining or expecting him to act in any way. I just shared why I had been feeling a little down. Mr. Miller listened without interruption. When I finished, he remained silent for a moment. Then he said, "Lakeside Manor, Allison Carter. You mentioned she is marrying Jason. Is that correct?" I confirmed this. He responded, "Let me investigate something and get back to you." I had no clue what he intended to find out. Perhaps he was simply curious, or maybe he knew Aunt Karen. I decided not to dwell on it. A few days later, Mr. Miller contacted me again. His tone was different this time. Not warm or casual, but grave. He said, "Emily, I reviewed the contract for Allison Carter's wedding at Lakeside Manor." Confused, I urged him to continue. He explained, "When they reserved the venue, they requested a special discount, a considerable reduction reserved for friends and family, connected to a business associate, Emily Carter." I felt my breath catch in surprise. "What do you mean?" I asked. "They listed you as the referral," he said, "claimed you were a close relative working closely with me, which is how they heard about the venue and qualified for the lower price." I was shocked because I had not referred them. "I didn't even know they were considering your venue until Ryan told me, and they never invited me." Mr. Miller added, "Exactly, Emily. They misused your name, our connection, and fabricated a relationship to obtain a rate they had no right to claim. That is fraud. They lied to secure the discount." He spoke calmly, not accusing me, but making it clear what had happened. He sounded genuinely upset about the situation. "This is not about the money," Emily Carter said firmly. "It is about integrity. They falsified a legal document. They exploited my good faith and your name to deceive." He paused briefly. "I run my businesses on trust and honesty. I cannot let this go unchallenged. If they are ready to lie about this, what else might they do?" Then he made his decision clear. I am terminating their contract immediately due to fraudulent misrepresentation. I was stunned. You are canceling the wedding? I am ending the contract because of fraud, he corrected. They violated the agreement by being dishonest. The event cannot proceed under these circumstances. I will have my staff notify them. They must leave the premises. His actions were not done for my benefit, not out of personal favor or revenge. He acted because his business was deceived, and my name was misused in the process. He was standing by his principles. However, the consequence was that Allison's wedding, the very one I was deemed unworthy of, the key element of their flawless image, was about to be canceled. I did not feel joy or victory. The situation felt heavy and complex. They had hurt me, excluded me, and judged me as inadequate. Now, because their deception and manipulation had gone too far, their special day was in jeopardy, and my name was tangled up in the drama. Mr. Miller managed the details with professionalism. His legal team sent an official notice to Allison, Jason, and likely Aunt Karen as well, informing them of the decision. The contract was terminated because of fraud. They were given a set time to remove any decorations or belongings already placed at the venue. The wedding day finally arrived, but naturally, I was not invited. I spent the morning attempting to keep my mind occupied, feeling a strange blend of nervousness and unhealthy fascination. What was unfolding there? How would everyone react? Around noon, my phone began to buzz persistently. Messages and calls poured in, not from Allison or her mother, but from other relatives, distant cousins, and even some acquaintances who were apparently present at the location. The texts were frantic, full of exclamation marks and question marks. "Oh my gosh, Emily, are you watching this? What is going on at the place? They are removing everyone. Your name was mentioned." Then my mother called me. She was there as a guest, silently upset that I had been left out. But now her voice was hurried and intense. "Emily, it's utter chaos here. Complete chaos." I asked what was going on. She explained that venue staff had just emerged right as guests were arriving for the ceremony, announcing that the event was canceled due to fraud charges. Mr. Miller was there. He claimed lies had been told on the agreement and that my name had been used improperly. I listened closely as she painted a vivid picture. It was exactly as Mr. Miller predicted, all the wedding party and guests standing confused and stunned. Then Allison came out in her wedding gown, shouting, actually screaming, not joyous screams, but furious, angry cries. "You cannot do this," she yelled at the staff. This was a scene no one expected. My wedding Aunt Karen was right standing there with her face flushed from anger. "This is unbelievable. We paid for this. You cannot simply throw us out." Mr. Miller? He himself remained calm and collected, standing by the entrance. My mom mentioned he spoke clearly, his voice rising above the commotion. He explained that the contract was invalid because of fraud, since they had lied about their connection to Emily Carter to obtain a discount. He emphasized that using someone's name without consent for financial benefit was dishonest. He was not loud, yet his authority was evident. He stated the facts and the outcomes plainly. The guests were required to leave. My mom described the scene as surreal. People whispered some appeared shocked, while others seemed to savor the drama. Allison was having a complete breakdown, crying with mascara streaks, yelling that her perfect day was ruined. Aunt Karen argued with anyone who would listen, attempting to weasel her way out, denying any wrongdoing despite the proof. Jason, my mom said, was standing a short distance from the crowd, looking pale. He did not shout or argue. He simply observed the chaos, his new wife screaming in her pricey gown. Then quietly, while his mother-in-law kept shouting, he turned and walked away. He got into his car and left, never returning. The wedding did not take place. The engagement was over. The flawless celebration collapsed. Everything collapsed not because of anything I did, but because they attempted to deceive others and got caught using my name in the process. In the hours that followed, more messages arrived. The news spread rapidly among family and friends. The real cause for the wedding cancellation was not a scheduling conflict or a sudden illness, but outright deception. Emily Carter's name was involved, but not in the way Allison and Karen had claimed. People learned that they had lied while using my name, assuming I was not worthy enough to be there. Suddenly, the story changed. It wasn't Emily, the rebellious one, who stirred trouble. It was Allison and Karen who were exposed as dishonest and controlling. Apology messages started coming in, not from Allison or Karen, definitely not, but from distant relatives, cousins I hadn't spoken to in years, aunts and uncles who probably had quietly thought I lacked sophistication before. Many said, "What happened, Emily? I am so sorry you were treated that way. I can't believe they used your name. That was really wrong. I have always liked you, Emily. I knew you were genuine." It was not really about receiving apologies, but about the truth finally surfacing. People saw the contrast between their superficial posturing and true honesty. That weekend, the one meant to be Allison's flawless wedding day, I wasn't at home crying or boiling with anger. Instead, I chose to spend time at a small cabin by the lake I occasionally rent. It was quiet, calm. I sat on the porch watching the peaceful scene. The sunlight shimmered on the water as I opened a bottle of wine. It was nothing extravagant, just a kind I enjoyed. I wasn't dressed up. Instead, I wore comfortable pants and a simple t-shirt. I captured a photo of my surroundings, the lake, the trees, and my hand holding the wine glass. No filter was necessary because it was genuine. I didn't feel the need to pretend. I shared the picture online with a straightforward caption. It turns out elegance isn't about the dress code. A smile spread across my face as I posted it. It felt right, as if I had uncovered a truth. True elegance wasn't about putting on airs, owning costly possessions, or conforming to someone else's narrow definition of perfection. It was about honesty, kindness, and being authentic. And they had utterly failed in that regard. Looking back, I'm not proud of the wedding fiasco being canceled. It was a chaotic public embarrassment. Yet I'm grateful I remained authentic. I never attempted to change myself to fit their expectations. I never pleaded for an invite. I just lived my life. When their deceit was exposed and they used my name, the consequences were theirs alone to face. You might call it karma, or simply the natural outcome of building a life on falsehoods and appearances. Genuine stories and sincere individuals always come out on top eventually. If you have ever felt excluded because you didn't match someone else's idea of perfect, hit like, subscribe, and stay here because real stories and real people always win in the end.